Welcome to This Month in Warhammer, our monthly update on all things Warhammer from Triple Crown Wargaming Studios. So I am joined as ever today by my esteemed colleagues, Scott the Duke McHugh.
Hello.
Max the Chieftain Hurley, and you're stuck with me, James the Lawmaster Lamin, for our usual mix of roundtable discussions about kind of all aspects of the hobby, from the serious to the silly, as ever. Now, we're going to cover all the usual things you'll find in one of these videos, so we'll have a little chat about what's going on for new model releases. We'll have a look at what's been happening in our hobby over the last 4 weeks. We'll take a look at all the social media buzz and contacts we've had there. We'll go through anything that can be described as Warhammer news. And for this month, our big talking point will be Cardiff Crusade. And in fact, this will be released, because of the fun of our release schedule, on the Sunday that Cardiff Crusade finished.
Yes.
Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, so by this point we should really almost finish.
Yeah, I imagine by the time this is shot, we should basically be done. So you'll be able to sort of, if you were going, great. If you weren't, well, you know, you can have a chat with us and see what we were taking, and we'll give you some updates with that too. Right, so I'm not going to hang around. I'm going to have a chat about some of the models that have been released over the last month. And I'm not going to lie, it's been another not massive amount. Sorry, chaps.
Sadly.
Chapesses.
Chapettes, I think is the correct.
Chapettes.
The correct term.
Chapesses.
Chapesses, yeah.
Chapettes.
Sounds like a sword, doesn't it? And then he stabbed me with the chapess.
On topic. On topic.
So, we've had a few bits from Games Workshop this month. We've not had a lot from anyone else, really, if I'm honest. Either. I did my usual due diligence and went through and looked. But we've got the Beast Skewer Kill Bow. That is hard for me to say. The Beast Skewer Kill Bow from Age of Sigmar. So this is the new sort of Orc War Clan stuff they've done for Age of Sigmar. But this is quite cool. It's £21, and it basically is a Goblin Spear Chucker.
Yeah, it's rather nice. I quite like it.
Yeah, it's quite a nice model.
It's basically a plastic Goblin Spear Chucker. The Goblin Spear Chucker wasn't a huge model anyway when it was out.
No.
This looks like a pretty good replacement, and actually for 21 quid,
It's cheap.
it's quite cheap.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
So you can take 4 of them. You can take 4 of them in your Goblin army and you'd be good to go.
You can take 6.
You
is
take
it,
6.
in a regular Goblin
You get
army?
2 for each slot on their special.
Yeah.
Is it
yeah.
4? I thought it was... Or am I
It might be
thinking
high elves is 4.
It's high as well.
Yeah.
It's 4 or 6. One of the
It's
one.
4 or 6, but you can take lots of them, and now
Yeah.
there's a £21 plastic kit that makes them.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty cool. Sticking with that as well, we had a look through all their other models, and we've got to be honest, the vast majority of it we didn't see a lot of mileage for Warhammer kind of 8th edition in. But if you did, you can obviously drop us a message in all the usual places. The only one that we did think might be workable, in addition to the Beast Skewer, was the Kill Boss on Corpse Ripper Vulture. Which is £89, so it's obviously one of their new big monster kits.
Yeah.
Looks like it's quite cool. It's like a big bird.
It's like a big vulture, isn't
Well,
it?
yeah.
It's called a vulture.
It
so
is.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is.
The vulture with an orc on top.
It is the vulture, if you will, but we'll leave that that sitcom reference to one side for a moment. Other sitcoms are available, ladies and gentlemen. So it's £89. We think you could probably use it as an Orc War Boss on a Wyvern.
Yeah.
So it's worth checking out if you like the idea of that, particularly now as they don't do an Orc War Boss on a Wyvern kit anymore.
Don't think so,
no.
So
No.
that might be a good replacement kit if you like the idea of a really big Wyvern. I mean, competitively I don't, but I know there might be people that do.
This is from a collector standpoint. If you don't have an Orc War Boss on Wyvern, you can buy some, give yourself an Orc War Boss on Wyvern.
You
From a
certainly
collecting
can.
standpoint,
Yeah.
So moving on, we've got a couple of books to cover this month. There's one that I'm particularly excited about, which is The Art of Warhammer Age of Sigmar and Warhammer Fantasy Battles. And the second part of that's probably more exciting to me, if I'm honest. But that one's £30, and it's like a collected compendium of lots of the art from across the years that's been produced. Now, you know, there's been some absolutely fantastic Warhammer art produced over the years.
Yeah.
So I
Very
do
nice.
love looking through these books, and I think in the studio at the minute we've got a big lizard man on the wall.
We do.
Which we
Big
got.
lids.
Big Liz.
Yeah.
So that seems quite cool. If you're into that side of the hobby a bit more and you're looking for some inspiration there from the artwork, might be one for you. The final book we're going to look at is Warhammer Chronicles: Knights of Bretonnia.
This is one that I'm excited about.
Yeah, so this one's £12.99. and it follows the saga of Callard as he moves from a knight errant all the way to a knight of the Grail. It's got 2 novels and 2 novellas in the book, each one aptly titled after the knightly rank to which he is attaining or has at that point. These are a reprint again.
They are, yeah.
Of some previous stuff. So again, very cool if you've not got them the first time round, or if you want to collect them into one place. I picked the Vampire Wars one up because my copies of the original books are just ruined. So
overread.
Yeah, so I picked that one up because that was really cool. So similar type of thing here. $12.99, bargain, good bit of lore. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So the only other thing that we'll talk about in kind of terms of released product is that we still have a few tickets for the Light of Albion.
We do.
Available. I know some of you have said to me you've been waiting until you've been to Cardiff Crusade to grab yours. Well, the wait is over because, as I say, this has come out on the Sunday evening of Cardiff Crusade. Yeah. So make sure you head over to triplecrownwargaming.com and get your ticket for the Light of Albion. It's only 2 weeks. Come on, what are you doing? You're playing it.
Yeah. It is only 2 weeks.
No, 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah, 3 weeks. Sorry, I get a bit confused sometimes. I say we, it's mainly me because obviously we shoot these and then we release them later. So so I get myself a bit lost.
But to be clear, it's in 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yes.
3 weeks, guys. Count the fingers. 3 weeks. Get yourself your Light of Albion tickets. It's almost sold out, but we are very excited about it. Want to get those last few people in the door. So we'll move on to the month in our hobbies. And I'm going to turn to my left to begin with to talk to the chieftain. So, Max, what have you been working on for your hobby this month?
Well, first of all, I haven't bought any new models.
Yay! That definitely deserves a round of applause.
Thanks, thank you very much. I bought a model case instead. I
gotta spend some money.
Yeah. I only got a case for my Beastman yet, so I bought a new case from Tabletop Tyrant. I think it was like one of their big, I don't know, like bag case things. Yeah.
Yeah, you bought it over last week.
I did bring it over last week.
Cool.
Yeah, it works. It broke nicely. But apart from that, I've been working. I said Beastman. I've been working on Beastman. The unit of Gore is now finished. I finished up a unit of Ungore Raiders as well. That's only 5, so it's not a big achievement. So it's only 5 Ungore Raiders.
Don't sell yourself short, mate. Some of us really rate 5 models being painted them up.
And I think I've got basically the majority of the Bestigor unit done. And you've seen like the finished products of some of those.
Yeah.
And I followed I don't know if you've seen Scott's Plague Drones. He did the shiny black carapace on the top of him. I followed that same thing with the armour piece on the Bestigor. I think it looks really nice.
Yeah,
it
that's
really
really good.
Yeah.
I think we'll have to try and get some pictures up.
Yeah, I'll get some
media.
pictures.
Yeah, it's been a while since the Beastmen have been up.
Yep.
But that's pretty much it. I haven't particularly done much else. It's been painting and getting Beastmen ready for their debut appearance, really.
Yeah. So what is the plan for next month, Mac, with the Beastmen?
Getting them finished.
How close? Sell it to us.
Month. It'll be done in a month's time.
Oh, he's made a bold play there, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, not as bold as a place you've been going with some certain Celtic dwarves, isn't it?
I'm sick of your lies. And your searching of the good lawmaster's name.
But no, the Beastmen should be done within the next month or so.
Well, that would be awesome to see him make an appearance. So I will turn now to my right and I'll ask the Duke what he's been up to.
So I've got most of the first 10 swordsmen painted for the Empire. I've got just the command models to finish. So I've got most of them done. Obviously I'll make the unit a bit bigger at some point, but I've only got 10 models for the swordsmen at the moment. And then after...
I feel like that's not enough.
No.
There'd be a lot more than 10 models. 10
yeah,
yeah, I hope
probably
so.
going to be at least 25.
Yeah, I think that's probably
25
to
to
the
30.
bare minimum, I'd have thought, yeah.
But then after them, thanks to the poll that was up 3 weeks ago, I think it would be, by the time you're watching this, the Hellblaster is next on my painting table.
Was it?
It was close, but the Hellblaster won it across Instagram and Facebook and all the groups that it was posted to.
I voted for Hellblaster as well.
Thanks, Max. So yeah, that'll be next up. I don't know when it will be done because I've still got lots to do. Sort of lots of other stuff and other bits. So I've still got to finish these 3 command models. I've got Dark Elves on the painting table at some point. I've got Bretonnians to base.
Starting to sound a lot like me now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm starting to see a lot less end products and a lot more stuff you still got to do.
Yeah, well, getting the Nurgle done, which is sort of next to me, getting them finished was a big push. So
Yeah, it was, yeah.
sort of took a couple of weeks off of really painting anything. That's a lie, actually. That damn right
That
lie.
is a big lie, actually.
Yeah.
I've just realised what you're going to
I've
say.
just looked behind the camera and seen what I painted.
What you painted.
I painted 4 bits of scenery.
You did, and we're still frantically painting
More.
lots of terrain because
Yes.
we've got lots of terrain still to finish for Light of Albion. It
Yes.
will all be done. Please don't panic. But we're certainly furiously getting through it now, and you can see those bits of terrain in the battle report we released.
You can, the Big Boy Beatdown,
Yeah,
which we
which
released 2 weeks
2
ago.
weeks ago, yeah.
It were the fulcrums were what I painted, so the 2 lizard many sort of temple ziggurat things, and the are they called charnel thrones.
Charnel thrones.
Yeah, the other fulcrums, the charnel thrones. But yeah, that's what mainly my hobby was this month. What about you, James? Did you get anything done?
How dare you? I've done some hobby.
Yeah,
How dare you?
we've seen stuff.
I have.
Yeah.
I have. So you can all say sorry and stop being so mean.
I won't say sorry.
So the last of the cow stalls are on the painting station. They are being worked through, so they're not finished, but they're half done. They're sort of in various stages of paint, basically, at the moment.
It's been 5 months.
By the time this,
5 months.
yeah, as I said, Chris Page, you're a legend. I'm just going to start there. I am so seasonal with work. You guys know because you talk to me all the time.
Yeah,
you've come
he
and
doesn't have
helped
a
me.
proper job.
You've come and I don't have a proper job.
No.
You've come and helped me. You're like, do you need any help? I'm off. Yes, desperately. Please come and help me. So we're sort of coming out of that now, which is really cool because I've actually got the painting station fired up. I got lots of stuff done. It really is just a handful of cow stalls now, which are all sort of, they're all got at least a base coat on. A lot of them have got several of the highlight layers on. So we are moving in a really positive direction with
So
those.
by this month in Warhammer,
Yeah, they'll be done. They'll have to be.
Ooh.
I'll claim everyone.
No, they'll be done. 100%.
We had
they'll
2
be done.
bold claims: Beastman finished and 16 cast dwarves finished.
They'll be gone, and they'll be back with Chris where they belong. And I'm really excited about that actually because it's been a massive project. There's been like 4,500 points cast dwarves there. So when you paint that many figures, you know, you feel really, really amazing when you get
down to the last one.
Yeah, and that last number's done. You break your brush and can't finish it. But yeah, super excited. There's very little to go, and I reckon by the time this comes out, I might even already be there, if that makes sense. Because I mean, not that it's going to make any difference, because it's going to be like 4 weeks before anyone hears about it. But that we are that close to the end, which is really cool because I want to get them back before October.
Yeah.
So. And in addition, obviously, we've got Cardiff Crusade, which we're going to discuss in a bit. And I did have to put the finishing touches on some bat swarms for that, which I had some other lists in mind, as we've talked about extensively, but there was just no way the hobby was gonna meet them. I have this bad habit, guys, of wanting to, whenever I sort of go to a tournament, I really want to include like at least something new in my list. It's a really positive thing for me to just make me paint stuff.
Yeah.
So and I had like a list where I'd included quite a lot of new things in my list, and that was just never going to happen. So we went with a little more traditional shape. If you watched the Vampire Counts deep dive from last week, thank you.
Yep.
Then you'll have. There's a similar version actually of the list I'm taking in there.
Yeah.
We'll discuss it all in a bit more detail later. But if you haven't, why haven't you? It's a really good video. We had loads of fun.
We did have loads of fun.
But yes, so I've painted some bat swarms, which you'll see very soon because we're going to put some pictures of the armies up that we're taking at some point in the next 7 days or so. Well, yeah, 7 days from now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I get so confused doing
It's
these
a week.
sometimes.
Just think a week ahead.
Yeah, I know. I get
A
really
week
confused.
behind.
You've probably already seen them, guys. But there were some bat swarms which I had real fun putting together. They were a real quick job as well, which is nice. So for next month, for me, obviously, it's sort of a next month, but is I want to finish those. I've got to finish those cow stalls. There's no question. They'll be gone. And then, if I'm honest, I've got a couple of bits we're going to use on the channel, which is like a couple of character-y bits, just because we want them for certain battle reports that we'll discuss at the end of this video when we tell you what's coming soon. But then it will be back to the coalface in a very dwarven fashion because I haven't painted enough stun these. But this time it's going to be regular dwarves, the ones that I posted on social media 8-10 weeks ago now that I was sort of working through, and they're going to be making an appearance hopefully before the end of the year, but I can't promise them particularly fast because there's still quite a lot of points to paint for those lists. So I think we'll leave that section there.
Mm.
That's the longest section I've managed to do on those videos. I'm quite excited.
So it hasn't just been you saying, "Yeah, I've not painted Chaos Dwarves."
I'm not doing anything. Let's move on. Yeah.
So you've broken the stigma now. Can I get rid of the little checklist in the corner?
Number of days since we had an incident. You can score that out.
0.
Social media wise, been a cool month. We're really close to lots of big milestones on social media again, where like the numbers keep climbing.
Yep.
But it's really frustrating because by the time this comes out, I wouldn't be surprised if we've broken a few more of them.
Yeah.
But we haven't, so we won't say them. But but lots of messages in this last month. I think particularly with Cardiff Crusade in mind, lots of people asking us sort of what our thoughts are on maybe their lists or maybe elements of their lists.
Yeah.
Certainly seems to have come up quite a bit. Do we like Hellblaster volley guns, or what do we think of? I'm trying to think of some of the others we've had. What do we think of Law of Fire on a Lord? That was one that I got. Yeah. So,
and we've had more sort of just on people, I think, starting new armies who are maybe not so sure about you know the competitive choices that you don't normally see. So we had a question about Empire from Joby. Thanks for getting in touch.
Oh yeah.
About the pigeon bombs, actually. And I was like, they're cool. When they go off, it's hilarious because they're so.
How many
10
points are they? 10 points. See, if I had
5 maybe,
5 or 10
really
points, I
big.
probably would slip one in. But they are scary when they go bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, when my go back the other way, hit my own unit.
Yeah.
There's a lot of toughness 3 models.
I definitely would be using them when I was losing, not when I was winning. Definitely getting smashed. Get the pigeons.
Get the pigeons.
The general looks at the army. We're losing the bell.
Release
Sir,
the pigeons.
Release the pigeons. We're sad.
Yeah, lots of cool stuff for Albion as well. I've seen lots of Truesayers and Dark Emissaries being sort of dropped under our nose. A lot of them
and
aren't
ideas
painted
for
yet,
them.
they're conversions and stuff.
Yeah.
So we've not had sort of a lot to stick up, but and lots of questions like about armies for that as well. We've even had some of the like the lists already submitted for that event actually.
We have. Oh, Nick.
Thank you.
So
you bring me joy every day.
I'm just going to remind everyone about our Saturday showcase. Now, if you're one of our Night of the Realm subscribers and you haven't sent in pictures for Saturday showcase, why have you not done it? We want to put your cool and your favourite models onto the social media pages of the channel.
Indeed, we do.
And we get lots of people sending them in, but please send yours in because we want to see them. They're very cool, and we do appreciate everyone that sends them in to us as well. They're awesome. So get involved in the Saturday showcase. I think from that point of view, though, there probably isn't a great deal more I want to cover now because there's quite a bit in Warhammer news that's kind of tenuously linked to social media-y stuff. Unless you guys think I've missed something.
No, I don't think so.
I remember now.
So then I'm going to move us on, guys, into Warhammer news. So I'll start the section, as I always start the section, with a big shout out to the Champions of Destiny Facebook page. If you like 8th edition Warhammer and you have a Facebook, then you should be getting yourself onto the Champions of Destiny. So search for that group. It's 8th edition Warhammer players, I think is the tagline after Champions of Destiny.
I think it's 8th edition Warhammer Fantasy.
Yeah. There you go. This is why they call me Grandad. So, like I say, Mark Pete runs the group. Fantastic guy. He's put together an amazing group there. There's lots of awesome admins. It's really well orchestrated. But particularly if you're in the UK, you're going to find pretty much this is one of the first ports of call for any and every event that will be put up that's happening. So if you like the idea of going to an event, whether that's a competitive event like more like sort of Cardiff Crusade or Triple Crown GT, or whether it's a more narrative style event like Light of Albion in a couple of weeks' time, you'll find that the information always goes on there first. And it literally costs you nothing other than a few minutes of your time. So why would you not sign yourself up and keep yourself abreast, if you will? Speaking of free things to sign up to, I'm just going to give you a shout out again. If you've not signed up as a Knight Errant on triplecrownwargaming.com, again, why haven't you done that yet? It's free. You do get a bit of extra content. I'm not going to pretend it's bucket loads of extra content, but it didn't cost you anything to do it, and you get some extra content.
Exactly.
And then when you want to become a Knight of the Realm, that's cool. We can do that for you too. But yeah, get involved in that. Now, the big news, I suppose, Warhammer news-wise, is all of the Warhammer Total War Warhammer 3 stuff.
There's a buzz.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've delayed it. It's the big starting point. The starter for 10 has been delayed.
I think they said early 2022.
Yeah, so sort of like end of end of the 3 months or something at the beginning.
Yeah, so it's basically people are speculating it'll be somewhere around March or April.
Yeah,
Sort of Easter-ish.
Yeah, I reckon February to Easter, sometime in that bracket, late February maybe through to Easter.
Yeah, because I think
depends.
Total War games generally are released November time.
They
Yes,
are,
yeah.
So if you sort of think of, say, a 6-month delay, which is something around, what would be a standard, because a company probably wouldn't delay for a month. They'd probably find the
It'd be
time
at least 3
to squeeze it. Yeah, so 3 to 6, you're looking at sort of January, end of Jan, start of Feb, through to sort of end of April.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that period.
Now, obviously, we don't know. But
Pure speculation.
but that would be our speculation.
But yeah, because you think about it logically, if it's going to be less than 3 months, you'd just sort of find the time to squeeze all that work in and release it on time.
Or you'd say, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You'd say specifically, you'd be like, don't worry, it's coming out on the 1st of December.
Yeah.
Or whatever that delay
So
would
we think
look
it's
like.
got to be a little bit longer than that, hence the sort of 3 to 6 month.
Gapping.
In my mind, though, the delay could be a good thing because it could just tidying up little bits and pieces of the game itself.
Yeah, exactly.
I think a delays are bad because you want your game, you want your new game to come out. But delay is a good thing because it also just means they're tying bits up, adding bits in that they didn't think they could do.
Yeah,
So,
making sure the game is as good as it can be
make sure
on release.
the game is working.
Yeah, yes.
Or doesn't need a million patches, yeah. I mean, the only thing I'm sad about is that I get, obviously, most of my time off is over that festive period, so...
James can't play the game.
James can't play the game in that time, but it just means you'll play more figures, wouldn't it? So,
Hopefully.
let's not stress. But that's not the only kind of Total War Warhammer 3 news,
No.
because we had the first trailer for Grand Cathay, and then we had some designers' notes, we had some stuff from Games Workshop as well, like sort of concept notes and things. I think we had, was it like one on the forums for Total War, one from Games Workshop, like a video on YouTube from Warhammer Community tie-in, and then obviously we had the actual trailer. So
very exciting stuff.
Yeah, there's been like an explosion in the community, hasn't there, over it?
There really has.
I'm not suggesting it's all good, but but I think it's all good at this wargaming studio. I think we think it's all good.
New armies, good things.
Yeah, I mean, it freshens the game up. The one chip of 8th edition, I suppose, the one chip against it is that it was the only edition of Warhammer that I played that didn't have a new army. And in fact, some of them had more than one. So...
because the last new army was Demons, which came out in 7th edition.
It did, yeah, and you had like Beastmen that were separated in 6th edition, I think, at the same time as... Oh, there's going to be some people correcting me on this. Ogres were released in 6th edition as well, I think,
yeah,
the standalone army.
Brett's was 6th. Well, no, Brett's weren't 6th.
Brett's were
5th
or 4th. No, 4th edition. Brett's were 4th edition,
yes. Because they
them
had
against
2 army
Lizardmen
books,
when
haven't
Lizardmen was baddies.
Okay.
So, but
So
then
they skipped an army book in 5th.
Yeah, so they had 2 in 4th with Lizards and Bretts, and then in 5th they had Tomb Kings. Became separated from the vampires, and Tomb Kings became 2 very distinct factions.
Yeah.
And then we had 6th edition had Ogres and Beastmen being separated from the Chaos book.
7th had Demons.
Demons, yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah. So you had lots of things going on like that, and then in 8th we didn't get a new faction.
No.
So, I mean, a bit like when we discussed the Kislev stuff, I just think and we had things like Kislev and Chaos Dwarves as well. We missed in those gaps that sort of slotted in and slotted out.
Yeah.
But when we discussed the Kislev stuff, like, this is all cool stuff. It's all cool stuff. Even if you only ever play 8th edition Warhammer Fantasy, and say they were to release models, and you were like, oh, I don't want to play like a different game or whatever it is that they're released with. So get the models and use them as something else.
Yeah.
I like they've got cavalry monsters, so they're saying cavalry monsters, magic, like unique magic, phalanxes. I'm like, so they're high elves. I'm like, you could quite easily.
You could probably use most of them as high elves. You could probably use a lot of them as Empire.
But certainly with Kislev, I think you could as well. Just so back to there. So, but I think obviously we all know the old world is going to come out as a game, and it seems likely that they'll probably be in that game.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's likely that one of us is going to buy the army.
Oh, well, I know that my brother, who obviously isn't with us...
He's not dead.
He's not dead. He's not dead. He's just not here. But I know he just sent me a message as soon as he saw it, which was, this is just right up my street. That's all it said. That's right up my street. And I thought it would be.
Yeah.
I'd actually look to get an army of those as well. Surprise, surprise, I look to buy another army.
Well, you're not the only one. I did look, but I did commit to Kislev.
You have committed to Kislev.
And so I'm going to try and as I said to someone the other day, I've committed to Kislev, so you know I'll have at least 3 or 4 days between buying my Kislev and buying this army.
But I think it's reasonable to assume that being such a major faction and a starting faction, at least in Total War Warhammer 3, they are gonna be in the old world game in some.
It'd be pretty mad for Games Workshop not to do it as well, wouldn't it? When they've done all the work. And something that I've seen a few people latch onto about in those announcements actually was it says they've written a complete set of 8th edition fantasy rules for Cathay to use to profile this up.
Yeah.
Which obviously, you know, if anyone wants to break in to the studio, not that
we are not condoning breaking the law.
Condoning breaking in, but if we were to see those, I think we'd all just have a little hobby excitement moment. But no, obviously we are joking. As ever, but
don't break into Warhammer.
Don't break into anything, please. Please.
or anything, in fact.
Don't
be patient.
Just wait.
Just
but
be
yeah,
patient.
certainly very cool. I think we'd all love to see that, and I think that you know that as much as we're jesting like that, I think it just shows the excitement in the parts of the community that want to be positive.
Yeah.
I think you always get guys that want to be negative.
Yeah.
I know we don't like to address that too much on the channel.
But you know, you get that everywhere. You get that in every hobby, in every subset of the hobby.
Yeah.
Not even just in the hobby,
just life in general.
You always get conflicting opinions about this, but we're all looking forward to it.
We are, yes.
What's the point in being negative? It's happening, so let's look at what's cool. I really like the setting. I know some people seem to have been a bit gripey about the setting, and they're like, oh, all the flying stuff is too far. I'm like, dude, there's loads of flying stuff.
Dragons. You got 4-6 flying fortress.
Well, I was going to say we played Storm Magic a couple of weeks ago. That's one of the items, isn't it? And again, in the old in the Kelador novels, the Sundering novels, that is Kelador. I'm pretty sure that in that the Crown Prince of Safari has a flying tower that he goes around in. Pretty certain.
I mean, that's one hell of a way to travel, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, when you're the Crown Prince of Safari, you do what you want.
The black pyramid and the gash starts flying in the end times. Like, people don't gripe about the end times as well.
Yeah, I suppose they do. I've got probably more of a gripe about the end times than I have about...
but not because of the floating pyramid.
Not because of the floating pyramid, though. The floating
Arcan the Black has a flying chariot. There you go.
Yeah, he does.
He does.
And it's not the only sort of anti-gravity sort of stuff. Even like
anti-gravity.
Yeah, well, it's not. Like, there's lots of floating areas sort of in Warhammer anyway, like we say, like the floating fortress. There's some fantastic art in the 8th edition rulebook that's got like loads of like floating, like drills or pillars flying around. I think it's like ogres and empire fighting off the top of my head.
The dwarves have got
dirigibles.
Dirigibles.
No rules for dirigibles, but they have been like pictured as dirigibles. Yeah.
So I got to be honest. I'm not sure I'd get that side of it.
No, I really like it. It's very different to the traditional old world sort of setting, in that, you know, the Empire is the Empire. It's a sort of plains, you know, plains and forests, and then you've got some deserts, which are all very real landscapes in a sort of fantastical world. And obviously Cathay is very much not a real landscape with floating islands and...
Well, again, we don't know how much of that is actually like their standard vision for all of Cathay.
Yeah.
It might just be like a bit of Cathay.
It might be
where,
a
like,
city.
where the gods live or whatever.
Yeah.
Because they have said that the two, like, Dragon Emperors and Dragon Emperor and the Dragon Empress are... they live in like a sort of floating city, I'm sure it's...
I think they live essentially because they are gods.
Beyond the kind of realm of... or beyond the interference with mortals. So I wouldn't be surprised if they could go out and have a chinwag with them. But I'm not sure. Very Essex of me there, wasn't it? But I don't think they come down, basically. They're very much a stay upstairs sort of faction.
Yeah. I do like the fact in the article from, I think it was from Total War or Creative Assembly, they said the reason we didn't make them the legendary lords in the game was because it would be like having Nurgle or Khorne on the battlefield. Bit much.
Possibly excessive, yeah.
But again, you got the daughter, you got the kids.
Like, if you look at the large majority of what you saw in the trailer in particular, it was all on the ground fighting stuff. You know, you had like big golems, you had some...
Golems or golems?
Golems. You had some...
not a little, so...
Not a giant version of a hobbit.
Not a diminutive ring bearer,
Evolved bald ring bearers.
Yeah, so you've got
you said your ground force. You had your party, and you had the warriors. You had the warriors of Zinch.
You had the musketeers.
Yeah,
you had the war machines.
You had like the chaos.
All the Zinch stuff.
Dudes on the discs as well.
Kairos made his debut in video game. He looked fantastic.
He looked awesome.
Yeah.
He's actually just my Air Force are losing, I'm just
shape shifting.
Bolt change. Yeah.
Bolt change
into
everything.
a dragon. Everyone knows my love of dragons on this
Yeah.
channel.
Yeah.
So you know, shape shifting into a dragon. Sign me up.
It's just, there's no, I don't get the gripes. It's just, it's new stuff.
I think it fits the setting as well. I've got to be honest, because like feudal China, it does exist. I mean, it's basically feudal China.
Yeah.
And it does exist alongside, like, you know, Germany, which is what the Empire basically
Sort of medieval
is, alongside
Europe, yeah.
France, which is what
Britannia
sort of
Yeah,
is.
sort of France and England, isn't it? Medieval France and England.
And Atlantis, which is what Ulfan is. Did I take it too far? I took it too far. Yeah. We think it looks really cool.
Yeah.
And
you know what? I cannot wait for the. I think this has given a lot of people, made a lot of people think actually they could go and do all of the sort of other races of the Warhammer world that have been mentioned but never really done by Games Workshop, like Araby.
I think Araby's pretty much confirmed, almost confirmed. They haven't actually confirmed, but I think like there's a lot of speculation towards it.
And I'm really looking forward to all of that.
Yeah, so you got Araby, you got Nippon, you got the Kingdom of Ind as well, which is it's a very niche little bit down there.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I'm probably that's probably a part I'm slightly less excited about than you guys.
Okay.
Just because I think adding a couple of new races, it becomes manageable. If you start adding like a dozen, it becomes
I don't think
challenging.
there are that many. I think 3 to 4.
You got like Amazons, you got Araby, you've got Ind,
yeah.
you've got Nippon. So I mean, I'm not sort of stretching my brain particularly, and I'm at 4.
I mean, maybe these will be more towards the game side of things rather than actually a tabletop side of things.
Yeah.
So I don't even think we'll get Kislev and Cathay and maybe Araby.
Norse.
Norse for another one, yeah. So I think in general, look, it's cool stuff. At the end of the day, if it gets some people going, do you know what, I think I'm going to dig out my old Warhammer. I'm going to get on to Champions of Destiny. I'm going to find some people in my local area, because that's another great thing about that as well.
Yeah.
You find people in your local area to play games of Warhammer with, and you get together and you start playing some games. You start going to some events. You start building the community up. What's wrong with that? Let's do it.
Exactly.
I'm all for it. And
if you don't like the Cathay models or anything, don't buy them.
Yeah, there you go. Look at that.
There you go.
More
Buy an army
Cathay.
you like.
More Cathay for me.
So
Max, you have a problem.
yeah, I think that's it really. I think, you know, ultimately from our point of view, Triple Crown Wargaming is an 8th edition Warhammer Fantasy Battles channel, so you'll find that content here, and you can get involved in that content right now, because everything you need for that is available. And if you need some help working out what to buy, well, we've got a series for that. If you need some help, you know,
Improving
looking at
your
tactics,
competitive,
you know, well, we've got a series for that as well.
How
so
to build your lore choices.
So you know, there's loads of stuff out there, and we're only selling us. There's plenty of things on the internet. So if you're excited about Warhammer, guys, and you're watching this video, get yourselves involved. Why
Absolutely.
not? You know. So I think we'll leave the news section there, because otherwise we'll just go and
rambling about
just
Cathay.
run. And we'll have a little look at quite a big look at our main discussion point for today, which is the Cardiff Crusade event. Now, as I said, at the time that you're watching this, we are probably leaving the venue, maybe packing up, maybe looking for something to eat. I don't know what time you're watching it, but if it's Monday or Tuesday after it was released, we're probably already home.
Yeah.
Or something's gone terrible.
We're stuck in Cardiff.
So I'll start by saying that the guys from Cardiff Crusade, when they put the event together, they did initially start by taking the Triple Crown comp pack, which I know lots of people in the community are familiar with. And that was sort of the basis for the system they've put together. Now, they have made quite a lot of changes to that pack, it's fair to say. So be aware of that. That's not to say that's a good or a bad thing, it's just different. It's just a very different pack in a lot of ways. But if you're familiar with the kind of composition, I think it was originally called Roll Call Comp, that is sort of based on the pluses and minuses that you'll see as using on the channel here. It runs on the same system, but they have made some significant changes. And the ones that really stand out that I think will affect the outcome of the event are what we're going to kind of touch base on, I think. So they've massively improved those armies that can take artillery. If they don't take artillery, they've massively increased, rather, the amount of points you get for that.
Yeah.
I think it's sort of like +6 for a lot of armies.
For Dwarves and Chaos Dwarves especially.
And certainly I've spoken to, obviously we know quite a lot of people in the community. We're really lucky that we knew that before we had a channel, because we go to lots of events and do stuff. So chatting to lots of different people in the community, that definitely seems to have informed some list design. So that'd be
certainly
interesting to see.
incentivise those.
Certainly, Chaos Dwarf guys, a lot of Chaos Dwarf players. Although there is only one Chaos Dwarf guy going.
He is.
The people I talked about, the people I talked to that have Chaos Dwarves were all sort of saying to me, I think maybe not having artillery is the way to rock and roll them.
It's such a huge starting point for a list. It's effectively, as you start and write your list, you are on +6.
Yeah.
Before you, so then you can go, okay, well, where can I get the killing power that I'd normally get from artillery? Can I get that from somewhere else? And I think Chaos Dwarves very much can.
Yeah, well, I mean, as the event's over and done with now, I can say that the Chaos Dwarf list that is in is a +9, because I know the gentleman who submitted it, and he told me it's a +9 Chaos Dwarf list. So there you go. And he's got no artillery.
It's not a terrible list.
It's pretty strong.
Not at all, it's quite scary. I think as long as he doesn't draw cannons, he'd probably be particularly comfortable. If he gets cannons, he might be a little concerned, but certainly, I don't think that's a deal breaker for him.
No.
Because the monsters, you've got to re-roll the wounds against them if you're not magical cannons.
Yeah.
So, so that's a big change. I've got a couple of others here. Giving Law of Beasts to Orcs and Goblins.
That was another big one.
I really, really wanted to take Orcs and Goblins thanks to that.
You bought an Orcs and Goblins army.
Well, I didn't buy it for that event, but I bought it for the channel. But I did, once I had it, then start to think...
It did coincide.
It did line up, and I did sort of wonder if that was the great Teto Echo lining the stars up for me to take them, but
thankfully you didn't, because I don't think you had enough time to maybe practice with it.
No,
I'd practice something would have been the least of my concerns. I would need to have added quite a bit of stuff to what I've got to really sing that competitiveness. I didn't really have enough characters to start with, but that's a pretty large change. They also made a change for big uns as well. Normally you have to take Gorbad Ironclaw to be able to take sort of unlimited numbers of big un units. And they adjusted that to say you can take as many as you want.
Well, you could take one of each type of orc. As a big un.
The same as Gorbad's version, basically.
So you could take an orc big un, savage orc big un, savage orc boar boy big un, all in the same list.
So you can basically do Gorbad without having Gorbad.
Yeah.
Which is going to be an interesting change. I'm really interested to see
the list,
what the types of Orcs and Goblins lists that are submitted look like.
We would have seen them at this when this video goes
by
out.
now.
Yeah, but obviously we can't tell people what we saw.
No,
because we're not psychic.
We're not psychic. So I think that's a really interesting change. Now it'd be fascinating to see if it translates. Now I don't know who's taking Orcs and Goblins, but I know there's a couple of players on the list that I know have Orcs and Goblins, and they're good players, which I would expect to do well anyway. So you might find that just bumps the performance of those guys up a little bit. Be interesting to see how people take that change. Another big one is the changes to magic again for Bretonians this time.
Yes, so they've made sort of two changes. One is a glaring obvious change, and one is a more subtle change in my opinion. So the more obvious change is they gave Bretonian prophetesses and damsels access to Law of Light, which I mean is fantastic for Bretonians, and I think you can tell that by looking at how many Bretonians are coming.
It's a lot of Bretonians.
I think 5 Bretonian armies coming, which is a lot more than you would traditionally see.
We've always said though, their biggest problem is they don't hit nothing.
Yeah, and when you're making weapon skill initiative 10 with Aura Strikes First, they very much do.
I know a lot of people say, their biggest problem is they're really expensive. I'm like, they're not particularly any more expensive than anyone else's knights.
No.
Well, you're going to knock a point or 2 points off. Now, Grail Knights, you might knock a bit more off. But they've also maintained our buffs, which is Devastating Charge for the army. And the removal of the 0 to 1s, I believe they maintained.
Grail Knights and
Grail Elite.
The Grail Elite.
Grail Elite, and Pegasus Knights.
And Pegasus,
so again, the removal of those 0 to 1s and the introduction of Devastating Charge actually makes the Bretonian Knights perform much closer to their points value. You wouldn't necessarily want to drop very much off their points cost now.
No.
And so, you might get like an extra 2 or 3 knights in a 2,500 point list. It really isn't going to be a huge difference.
No, it's not going to make a big difference.
Their big problem is hitting stuff.
Yes, they don't, outside of their characters, they have basically no access to rerolls.
Nope.
To hit or wound, really. They have one spell in Law of Heavens, which helps them. And giving them Law of Light. I mean, like I said, just Birion's Time Warp and
Speed of Light.
Speed of Light. Yeah, those 2 spells. Your weapon skill initiative 10 with Always Strikes First and an extra attack.
Yeah. So you got like 4 attacks each on the Grail Knight. I know that Dave Church, regular contributor to Triple Crown Wargaming. He's running Bretonians for this event, and he was saying to me the other day he was playing a practice game where he got the Always Strikes First, the speed of Biriona's Time Warp, thank you, onto a unit of Ground Knights, and he was like, it's just devastating.
Yeah.
And obviously we know it's good. We did the Bretonian deep dive. We talked about how good it is when you put it on the Fan Enchantress.
Yeah.
But then having the ability to also pack in a Duke, like a Bretonian Lord, to go with that, or the Green Knight, the options become really powerful. So
yeah, and just having, even if you don't go with another Lord, just having that access to Law of Light, one, across multiple wizards, and two, in a much cheaper wizard than the Fey Enchantress. Now, the Fey Enchantress is very good.
She is, but she's all in points.
She is, she's 535.
Although it is worth mentioning now.
That is another
At this event, another massive change is the 50% Lords and Heroes.
Yes.
Now, it's worth me pointing out, I've pointed out on social media in the past, but I'll point it out directly in this video. Triple Crown, we use 25% Lords and Heroes. There's a few reasons for that. The main one is that the feedback from, in general, for competitive players that come to our events is that they prefer it. They much prefer it, and we have polled this. We have done it in the past with 50%, and we polled everyone that came. We just said yes or no as they walk out the door. It's pretty brutal polling if I'm honest. And the consensus is honestly 70-80% in favour of sticking with 25%.
Yeah.
Now, the decision the guys for Cardiff have made is absolutely their decision, and that's cool. But it is worth saying the other reason for us that we don't do it is because we'd have to rewrite large elements of the comp pack.
Yeah.
So when you're being told by your by the sort of people that attend our events, if you like, that they're not too keen anyway. When we had 50% Lords and Heroes, the comp pack had a very different structure to it.
Yeah.
The shape was hugely different because things you can do in that environment.
It's just combinations that you'd never otherwise be able to
achieve, and you have to kind of start to cater for those. Suddenly, when you've got one of the reasons big rid of monsters are plus choices, for example, is because
you really get one.
You get one, and it's probably your general. Well, suddenly it's not. That when it's suddenly not because 50% Lords and Heroes, perhaps maybe it's not quite so terrible.
It's
not quite such a risk, shall we say?
Yeah. Also, if you do have that big ridden monster, it's likely to not be a wizard.
Yes.
And
no,
when you're in 50%, you can still have a level 4 wizard and that big ridden monster, which suddenly makes it much less of a concession.
I mean, we both toyed around with the idea of the double dragon list
right
at the beginning.
I had like a 4 monster list right at the beginning.
Yeah, I had a double greater demon list.
Yeah.
I really wanted to see that.
I actually think that one was probably the best of the lot. I really do. I really think that was very scary.
HKB Bloodthirst of Lord of Change.
The second more subtle change, to cut back to Bretonians.
The second more subtle change with their magic is giving their damsels, the hero level wizards, access to Law of Heavens.
That's massive.
Yeah, so normally prophetesses do have access to Heavens, Beasts and Life, and their damsels only have access to Beasts and Life. And I think Heavens is not an amazing law. It's not great. It's considerably better on a level 2 than it is on a level 4.
Interesting, yeah.
And for Bretonians.
Yeah, I think the signature spell's amazing.
Yeah.
For Bretonians.
And really, you want
bearing in mind
1 or 2 other spells in the lore. You don't really want 4, I don't think. Really, you want Curse of the Midnight Wind or the better one, in my opinion, Harmonic Convergence, which is the spell from the Law of Heavens, which is their only access to rerolls.
I think you can make a level 4 work.
I absolutely think you can.
I do think there's opportunity cost questions though over life and things like that. And in this pack, the opportunity cost, of course, would be light because level 4 on light is amazing in this pack. So, I think again, these are changes that are quite fundamental because they change the rules of army books. So again, I'm really stressing there's not a value judgment applied by us, and that's really important. We're really excited about the event. We've all bought tickets. We're all going, and lots of our friends are going. I think we're taking 8 or 10 of us up
at least.
So we're like a 7th of the field, our gaming friends and us. So we're really excited, but the reason we don't do a lot of those changes at our events is simply because we like to try and keep it as close to sort of out of the box Warhammer as possible. Yeah. Now we appreciate we have made some changes, and in general when we do, they're very staggered. They're drawn out over a very long period. I.e., we'll play test this, we'll take the feedback, we'll see how it affects the overall.
And
results.
I think that feedback is a big point. We always take feedback, whether that's from people at the events, whether that's from our sort of extended gaming group. We always take the feedback of the community.
Yeah. Sometimes we just get emails as well.
Yeah.
which has definitely been more since we got the channel, and we'll get an email where they're like, what's the thinking behind this, or oh, have you considered this? And those are great emails to receive, so we love to receive them because they help us to try and improve it all the time. They've capped power dice. That's another point I've got here that's a change. So you can only use a maximum of 12 power dice per turn.
Yep.
So
no 24 dice.
No big dice, big dice phases. So I mean, look, again, I know there are some people I've talked to really excited about that. Some others that are like, oh, that's a shame because it's got to change. I'm going to change my army quite a bit for the way I like to play it. So
I also think it's interesting that they capped the power dice, which sort of on the face of it really hurts the Law of Death. It sort of restricts the power of the Law of Death. Now, Law of Death is still a very good law, but if you roll an 11 or a 12 on your magic dice, you're going to get basically nothing out of its law
attribute. The attribute's useless.
However, they've kept the comp on Law of Death.
Yeah, okay.
The sort of generic comp on Law of Death, which is interesting to me. Maybe that says that, you know, they think it's such a good law that even without the law attribute, it's still a hard point, which I think there is certainly an argument for.
I'd argue that, because whenever I play Law of Death, I'm not concerned about the law attribute, I'm more concerned about a purple sun running through my army.
But it's what happens after that purple sun. For me,
that makes it so sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting, that point. I think particularly as they changed Law of Life doesn't have composition in this event, and neither does the spamming of Law of Light wizards for the increased banishment. So I mean that is the only generic law of Magic that they've left the composition on. It is still a strong law. I've spoken to a few people that are like, I still think it's really powerful. I'm still going to take it. So
all two of them.
I think it's interesting to me actually that they've capped power dice but certain things obviously do count as power dice and certain things don't, even though they function. Now that's not the Cardiff guys' fault. You know, that's the rules of the game. Like magic mushrooms, they function as power dice, but they don't count as power dice.
Yeah. But warpstone tokens do.
They've said they do count. So I think this is one of those things where it's we don't do it, and we don't do it because it makes the game closer to out of the box, and also because it means we don't have to work out exactly what we want to define as power dice and what we don't want to define as power dice. I'm being honest.
We have a similar point in that you can't ever have more than 12 dice in the pool.
Well, that's the main rulebook.
Yeah. So you can use more than 12 if you can generate some in the middle of your magic phase.
After basically.
Like with the Law of Death. Law attribute, but at Cardiff it's very clear you can only use 12.
I think overall the thing with the kind of more rules changey stuff that they've done is in general it will change the flavour of the game, and I know there's lots of guys that are really excited about that because it's different. You know, it's different. I get to do something different. That's really cool. I think certainly you two guys have taken some stuff that's quite different to what you'd normally take.
Yeah.
I mean, Scott's taking an entirely new army.
Well, that is
and you've taken some big changes in your list.
A couple new units in my list.
My list is it would have been very different had I had a chance to get it done. But that was just not going to happen. So it's a bit more similar to kind of a more standardised list. But I think it'll be okay. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of sort of general compositional changes where they value units slightly differently to how we value them in the pack. That's the beauty of the Triple Crown pack. It's flexible like that. You can decide to pop things up or pop things down and move things around and see what the impact is. And you know how they do that has been their choice. But it's certainly going to be interesting. I don't think there's anything I've missed that's particularly the big changes.
I think the missions.
Yeah, well, I've got missions as a separate point.
Fair enough. So, composition-wise?
Or like rules-wise.
No big changes. There's more subtle changes across just army-wise.
They've got like
changes to what
virtual pivoting allowed, but not. And I know they've changed sort of the ruling on the Banner of the World Dragon, so that you can take the save against things like Black Horror, which is a massive improvement for that item for those guys. Well, they have made it a little harder on the comp if you put it on a unit, I think. So
they did,
you know, potato.
I thought it was still -3.
No, I think it's 4.
I think -4 on a unit standard.
On a unit standard, But I mean, it hasn't dissuaded anyone from. It hasn't dissuaded the 8 players that are taking high elves to take high elves.
Who knows?
They might not have taken the banner.
On the BSB.
They might all not take it. Yeah. But certainly it hasn't dissuaded high elves as a faction. I think it's fair to say.
They're the most popular faction at this event.
With dark elves very closely behind. What a shock! 2 of the best factions in the game. But certainly, quite a few changes, and But that's cool. It's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out.
It's their
what
event.
it does.
It's their event. They use our comp as a basis.
Yep.
But then it's down to them to make the change, and all to them, all power to them.
Yeah, and we're excited about going. I think it's the main thing.
I'm very interested to see sort of where those armies finish up.
Yes.
And what sort of finishes in the top sort of 5 or 10.
Yeah, if it does affect their sort of finishing positions.
I'm just looking forward to playing some games. So I've not played in a tournament for about almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
So we didn't play the Triple Crown, so we haven't played actually a tournament.
A long time.
Yeah, I mean,
2 years.
I think this might be even longer for me.
For you, because you.
No, because we played it. When did we go and do it? When did your car get broken into?
When did that happen? 2019. I think
Was that 2019? So that's the last tournament I've played.
February 2019, I think.
Oh,
no,
it was early 2019.
No,
Or was it late
November?
2019?
I think it was October, November 2019.
I know it was cold.
Yeah,
Right.
It was very cold.
But you were in Sheffield, so it is cold. So we went to a team event in Sheffield, and that was the last time I played competitively.
That would have been year and almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years.
Yeah,
at this point.
thank you, COVID, for delaying all the events. Now, who needs public health emergencies? So missions, I think, is going to be the
next order of
the
business.
next order of business. So the guys have designed 5 missions specifically. So that again is a departure from, but it's not Triple Crown event. That's the thing that is worth remembering. I suppose this is the thing that's going to make Cardiff Crusade a unique event. Is those 5 missions. They're really interesting because they hybridise like a really competitive setting with a much more narrative-y setting. I think.
Yeah.
That's my sort of feelings on them, and that's really cool. So the first mission involves having scoring units within the centre of the table at the end of the game.
Yeah, within I think it's 6 of the centre.
Yeah, and the scoring units are defined as there's a regiment size in their event pack. I'm not going to go through all of it because it is different for different regiments. But they have to have a unit standard.
Yep.
And they have to be over a certain size. So for infantry, it's more than 10. For cavalry, I think it's 5.
And anything monstrous.
Anything monstrous. Certain things can't score. So that's your fast cavalry, your skirmishers, anything with fly. Yeah. So
and characters can never score. So like a BSB.
Score. Monsters, I think, are another thing they specify. Definitely can't.
Potentially. Although I'm not sure what monster would have a banner.
No. Well, it's the these units will never score regardless, and they've got like 2 lists. These units never score regardless, is what I was saying. But yeah, so you've got to kind of have blocks basically to score of one description or another.
Yeah.
And there's also a secret mission on that mission 1, which we don't know because it's completely secret.
We don't know at this point of filming.
We know when you're watching this because we'd have done it. Yeah. But we don't know when we're filming.
Right now. So that's the first one. So I think that's going to reward armies that can really stand and take ground and stay the ground.
Yeah.
It's worth an extra 500 victory points.
Yeah, so all of the sort of main missions, as it were, in the missions are worth 500 victory points, and then there are a couple, I think there's 2, maybe 3, where there's extra 100 or 200 victory points available.
Depending on that.
Yeah, so that secret mission is worth 100
points more,
on top of the 500.
So that's going to be really interesting to see how that secret mission impacts as well. To see
what sort of things they are.
And to see if it's the same for every faction or to see if it's different.
Yeah.
They might have a pile of cards.
Yeah, we've got half a dozen different ones, and just sort of. So we really don't know. We really don't know, and this is something that we're really looking forward to finding out. So mission 2 is involves you getting into your opponent's deployment zone with those scoring units.
Yep.
And also you get an ogre prince. So the ogre prince can't be targeted by spells.
Yep.
Friend or foe. Yeah, it's sort of a 2-up armor save, random move.
3d6.
Yeah. Character, sort of classic ogre hero style.
Yeah,
isn't
he's
strength, toughness
a bruiser,
5.
basically, with an increased ballistic skill.
Of 5.
Although he doesn't have a
shooting
weapon. He's 7. Although he doesn't have a shooting weapon. He doesn't have ogre charge, but he causes fear. And yeah, like you said, have a 2-up armor save.
Yeah, the 2-up armor save, yeah.
4 attacks, 4 wounds.
He's got 5 wounds, isn't he?
No, he's got
4
wounds.
wounds, okay.
And then he's an ogre prince. If you keep him alive at the end of the game, you score an additional
100.
If you kill your enemies, it's 200. Is it?
No. So if you keep yours alive, it's 100 points. If you kill your enemies, it's another 100 points. And if your ogre prince kills their ogre prince, you get an additional 100 points.
So you could get 800 points.
Yeah, from just the missions, from getting units into their deployment zone, and if your ogre prince is alive and kills their ogre prince, you can score 800 victory points.
In what I'm going to call the Battle of Prince.
the prints off.
if you will. I hope it's Purple Rain.
Hopefully in venue just puts a purple light in.
Yeah,
on.
I
You do something
certainly
like that.
don't want extra time and his kiss. So, other 70s and 80s amazing artists are available. So, that's going to be interesting again. I think it's going to be fascinating to see whether people play really defensively to try and hold on to 100 points, or whether they play a bit more offensively to try and score additional points with the ogre.
I can see the argument for both because they said like toughness 5 or something like that with 4 wounds and 2 up arm save. He can't be targeted by spells.
Yeah.
He's not easy to take off the board.
No, I think it's super matchup dependent.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think depending on what I'm fighting depends on whether I try to sort of hide him or whether I try to. Although the 3d6 random movement is going to mean that he's a little more tricky to kind of keep a hold of.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting that one. Again, we'll I think after the event we'll either next month in Warhammer we'll have a mention, or we'll see if there's something we can do in the interim.
In the meantime.
Yeah, to slot it in. It's just finding time in an already very hectic schedule for the next 4 weeks. But their mission 3 is a random deployment mission, isn't it?
It is.
Yes.
So it's a sort of 12 inches on again, but you divide the table sort of 24 inches from each end. So you've got 3 chunks of 24 and 12 up.
Yeah.
And then you roll a dice for each of your units. On a roll of a 1, they're in they're in reserve.
Yeah.
On a 2, I think they go on your left.
Left.
On a 3, they go on your right.
4 to 5.
4 or 5,
is
they go in the centre.
Yeah.
And then on a 6,
You roll again.
You roll again. On a 1 to 3, they are in reserve. And
Yeah.
on a 4 to 6, they go into ambushers, which means you roll a dice for them in subsequent turns.
From turn 2
and they can show up from any of the board edges.
Yes.
So
I think the biggest thing for me in this mission, and there's no
additional
victory
victory
in this
points.
mission,
So it's just to kill each other again.
But the biggest thing for me is you have to roll for characters separately to
Yes.
units.
Yeah, there's a couple of exceptions. Things like the Screaming Bell, I think they've made
which can't go out of
because
the
it
unit
can't
'cause it
not be
has
in a
to.
unit.
And hidden models like assassins
Yeah.
and things. But you know the rulebook equivalent or closest equivalent is I think
Dawn
it's
Attack.
Dawn Attack. That's the one. And you can put characters in their units and roll for the unit and character as one. I think that's a huge.
No,
difference.
it's not. It's a combination of Dawn Attack and meet engagement. Because in meet and engagement,
You have to roll where.
No, Dawn Attack you roll where, meet and engagement you roll to see if they're going to reserve.
Oh, right, okay.
But on a 6 you put them where you like.
Yeah, so it's a sort of combination of the two with some changes, but that's the biggest difference for me is that you have to roll for characters separately.
It does affect some armies more than others.
Well,
Yes.
I think it's fascinating that elves are so popular, like the 2 big elf factions, because I think wood elves have only got a couple, like 3, I think.
Three
And that's not a shock to me because they don't really have the scoring units for the missions.
None of their tree spirity units
Stuff
can score because they
can
can't
score,
have banners.
Cavalry units can't score
Because they're all fast. Yeah.
Which leaves you basically with
Guard,
Archers, Eternal
Guard.
Guard, and Wildwood Rangers.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is challenging, I think.
Yeah, to keep them above the levels
to
that they
keep
become
them
scoring.
really strong as well, and to hold
Yeah.
them up because, like you say, they're very fragile regiments. So, I think, but it's not a shock to me that you see elves making a big appearance in the other
No.
2 factions. 15 of the 70 armies are elves, and of the high and dark variety. And I do think that they are very strong at that mission because elf units generally are quite good at acting independently.
Yeah.
Whereas I think if you're a dwarf player, that mission terrifies you because you don't really have the ability to get back into position very easily.
No, moving free does
and their
matter.
regiments like to look out for each other. Beastmen
Yeah.
are another one I think it could be really challenging for.
Yeah.
And my beloved Vampire Counts. We played this, didn't we, last week?
We did.
And it was an absolute drubbing.
It was. Yeah. I mean, the deployment was arguably worse for me
It
than
did get
it was
worse
for you.
Yeah.
The rolling of sort of what was on
Well,
the
you
table.
had a lot of
and what
stuff
was not.
off the table, but
Yeah.
I had a lot of stuff miles apart. I had
You
like
were basically all in the left
all
or
on
the
the
right,
left or all
yeah.
in the right. So I had like all these blocks that had no ability to march that move 4 over here, and all the stuff that makes them march 30 inches away over here.
But you did get an ambush in Terrorgeist.
I
Which
did.
was
Yeah, you
very
did.
scary.
I
I
did.
got an ambush in Epidemius.
And
Lovely.
the ambush in Terrorgeist was in fact the only reason I scored any points at all and didn't just get 20-0'd.
Yeah.
Because he came on and screeched at Scott's general, which I'll save for later what his general is, but it's a very effective tactic. So yeah, but so that's going to be really interesting, and I think that one is probably the one that's going to generate the most.
Not controversy, but talking points.
Maybe, yeah. I think what I was driving at is I think that's going to be the one that's going to challenge the generalship most, arguably.
Yeah.
Because I think
Potentially, yeah.
you know that's going to really handicap you if it goes badly, and then you're going to have to work so hard
just to
on
get
the
back to
general
some
ship, just
sort
to
of
get back to
form
kind
of
of level
where you want to be.
And then I think if you're playing someone who's really solid and they've either got an army that can work a little more independently, like for you last week, you had an army I think that works much better independently than my army does, or because they have a better role than you.
Yeah,
that's going to be a really tricky day out. It's an interesting mission, that one. I can see that one being
and
a
I
big,
think,
like you said, a big talking point.
Yeah, I think people could feel really hard done by if they do come up against like an opponent, whatever they might have, and that opponent could be the nicest guy in the world or girl in the world, and just roll where everything needs to go and roll perfectly, and you could roll rubbish, and you're like, there's no way out of this.
We did get sent some pictures by one of our subscribers that were saying, "Oh, we were practicing this mission. We just wanted to send you a picture of like the initial setup." And one player had all of their stuff in the centre, blocked up in what could only be described as beautiful deployment for their army. The other guy had about 1,800 points on a tray next to the table, and he had about 600 points of stuff just sitting still. I was like, "You are in a lot of trouble, mate." And they were.
It's like that your practice game where you had like your BSB just on the board and the actual unit was going off the board.
There was no unit he could
go.
go.
There was no unit on the board.
Standing on the table. And I still couldn't kill him.
No. Thank God I wasn't playing Wood Elves.
Yeah. Wood Elves intensify.
Or Tomb Kings.
Or my Tomb Kings, yeah. Mission 4 next. So this one has, I think it's called a blessing or a curse. Yeah. And you pick a unit on the table at the start of the game and you roll 2d6 on a chart and they get
a random
special rule. Or is it just a special rule or is there special effects as well? I think some of them might be like effects rather than
something might be like a stat chain plus one tail.
Yeah, I think there might be some of that.
I think so.
Well.
But maybe.
I'm not
and
certain.
it has to be a non-character, I think, as well.
It does, yeah.
Non-character unit.
But it can be any unit. It doesn't have to be a scoring unit.
No,
it can be
just
any unit.
I think there's like two parts on my head on this. It's like, do you go big on your best unit? Hope you roll like +1 attack or like frenzy,
or strikes first.
Or strikes first, something really punchy. Or do you pick a 70-point bat swarm? And
not care what it gives you.
And if it gives it a good roll, it gives it a good roll.
Yeah. The fact you just said 70-point bat swarm makes me think you've already decided that a 70-point bat swarm is going to get the roll.
So I think in general, because I'm a really sort of methodical, competitive player,
you don't like to.
You know, if I'm playing competitively, what I mean is if I'm playing competitively, I like to play very methodically.
Yeah.
I like to be as sure about each of my regiments and what they are going to do or not do as possible. So for me, it probably would be thrown at chaff. I know that might not be their intention. I'm sorry, guys. But I probably would throw
For me,
it on chaff.
depending on what I'm playing, it's either going to be my Nurglings or my Furies.
Yeah, and I can see that. What about you, Max? Giving away the game on what we're taking.
It could be.
He's looking at his list. He ain't even thought about
Max
it.
doesn't know what he's taking.
To be honest, I've not played my army for a while. It's probably going to be either Warhounds or Horsemen.
I think it's Warhounds looking at your list.
Yeah. I might feel froggy, pick a Chariot.
And again, it's back to the classic 20-0 scoring. But beyond that, and they use the same size brackets that we do at Triple Crown, 200-point brackets.
They do rather, yeah.
So, and that leaves mission 5, which is back to a mission that scores you points, 500 points this time, for whoever kills the most scoring units in addition to the usual 20-0 scoring.
Yeah.
So this kind of backtracks because you need more scoring units to win the game in the early missions. But if you have more scoring units,
it's more for your opponent.
It's more for your opponent to kill.
Yeah, and I think
it's an interesting dynamic.
I think that's really clever mission design. The only thing I fear is this is why you've got 15 elf players. Because they don't need a lot of scoring units because they'll probably kill yours. Yeah. And their scoring units are really hard to kill because they're probably white lions.
I'm slightly surprised by the fact that there's more high elves than dark elves, although it is only very slight.
One player.
Yeah, because generally a competitive dark elf army has 3 scoring units.
Exactly.
Whereas a competitive and crossbows.
And crossbows.
Whereas a competitive high elf army probably only has 2. Now you could in white lions and then a core block, but I suppose you could go white lions Phoenix Guard core block as a
very similar to a list we used on the channel not too long ago
against me.
That would be good. That would be a good list for these missions, I think, because those 2 main blocks are really difficult to kill
and act really independently.
Yeah, the Phoenix Guard themselves is just absolutely.
That's it. Yeah, exactly that. And the white lions are also very good because they're stubborn. So again, you've got them acting independently, like you say. So I'm not super surprised to see elves here. Again, in numbers, I see the missions, and I do see I'm not saying they're the perfect faction for every mission, guys. Not at all.
No.
We're not saying that at all. I think the guys at Cardiff Crusade have done a really good job of trying to make the missions quite diverse in that way, so that there is question over.
I think because
over
not
it.
all of them rely on scoring units, that's helped add that sort of diversity. Because if they were all, you get 500 points for your scoring units doing X, and those things changing, I think elves would absolutely be the one and only army to go to.
And suddenly, when you've got to put a special rule on a unit, and your only units are big, blocky, expensive ones,
and that rule, I know one of the rules is always strikes last.
Yeah,
that's a real concern
for an elf unit. Yeah,
I know that it gave my bat swarm fear in a game, which was vital with the fear that he already
has being undead.
From being undead, so he's double feared at that point. He's extra scary.
Arguably should cause terror.
Arguably should, but
bat swarm causing terror. I have enough struggles with bat over terror as is anyway.
I'm going to discuss.
That's going to be one hell of an argument on there.
I'm going to discuss a very pertinent bat swarm anecdote a little bit later.
In a bit,
but yeah, so that one's quite different, like you say, and it's going to involve being much more offensive towards your opponents, scoring blocks perhaps. But I mean, in general, it's there's a lot of victory points up for grabs in the missions. I think they're going to swing a lot of the games.
Yeah, it's interesting actually you say that. I've had 4, maybe 5 practice games with my list,
Which is probably the most of any.
Yes.
Yeah.
Concern.
And 2, I've had 4 actually. I know I've had 4, and 2 of them. If it weren't for the missions, I'd have lost. But because of the missions, I drew.
I think that's the purpose of a mission, though. It's not an actual mission in a game. That is the purpose of
swinging.
swinging.
I do think I played differently because of the mission.
That's it. Yeah.
And equally, I think my opponent did as well. So yeah, that certainly makes a difference.
Yeah, it's got to be considered, I think, and so that's going to make the games really interesting.
Yeah, a mission can swing. So say you're losing, you've not got a lot of models on board, but yet you've got the mission down.
You got the important models.
You got the important models you need. The mission is all you need to worry about at that point in time.
Yeah, I agree. So certainly going to make for a really interesting dynamic. I'm really looking forward to having a chat about it afterwards with you guys at home, so you can see sort of how we found those differences. But it's a nice blend, I think, of some really competitive stuff and some really narrative-y stuff, which makes the event a bit unique. So I'm gonna just quickly mention it's 70 players if you don't know at home and you're not into it. So it's quite a lot. It's a very big event. Firestorm Games is where it's being held in Cardiff, and hence its name.
Hence the name.
And that's got a big venue. And I think that's
brand new, isn't it?
I
think they've only
recently
moved into
it. Yeah. So it's a big venue. They can host a lot of tables, and that's really lucky. I think everyone would be very jealous of those guys that they've got such a good venue on their doorstep, if you like, that will put on an event like that for them. Because we've dealt with venues that are maybe bigger in the past, but they've maybe been less excited about wanting to do a fantasy event than say a 40k event. I don't know, but certainly very cool for them.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking forward to it. They've also got some amazing looking prize support for the event.
Yeah, this is
nice prize support.
I actually really like their prize support.
Best in race discs, haven't they?
And like little coin thing, big coins.
I think it's a sword and an axe. I think one's for Bloodiest General. I'm not sure what the others are for, if I'm honest.
One's Bloodiest General, one's probably the winner, and they have a shield.
So.
They had a shield.
I think, is that for painted, best painted?
Maybe.
So I think certainly you're going to see, if you're on certainly Champions Destiny, I'm sure you'll see lots of stuff getting put up there if you haven't already. And so the prize support looks really excellent. It would be amazing, wouldn't it, to bring any of that home for anyone? I think so. I'm sure there's lots of people.
We'll have to redo your thing where you're holding the actual sword or something like that, isn't we? Redo the end of the video.
Remember. So very cool stuff. So I think we'll just go through our army lists, and that'll probably be.
There, we know spoilers at this point in time because
be our finish up.
We've used it all.
We've used it all. So
we've played everyone at this point.
It's kind of worked out quite nicely. So shall we go left to right?
Can do. I always start off, don't I?
Yeah, you begin, Max.
Let's begin. So I'm taking obviously Warriors of Chaos because it's my only fully painted army competitive wise.
You've nearly got the Beastman done.
I've nearly got the Beastman done, which is and if you've played my Warriors of Chaos before, you probably have seen the main bulk of this a lot of time.
Yeah.
So in my Lord section, I will have a Demon Prince. He was a Demon of Slanesh. He has Chaos Armor, the Demonic Flight, the Lore of Slanesh, and he's a level 4 wizard. In terms of magic items, he has Charm Shield, the Dragonbane Gem, and the Sword of Striking. And if you Chaos Mutations...
Item list A.
Yeah, item list Trojan A for this one. His Chaos Mutations is Scaled Skin and Soul Feeder. Moving into heroes, we have an exalted hero, Battle Standard Bearer, he's the Mark of Nurgle, who has a Dawnstone and the Enchanted Shield. No Chaos Mutations, so he's got that lovely 2-up rerollable armor save.
Based.
And then we have Festus the Leech Lord, who is a fantastic little support unit for my units, or unit, shall we say.
He's awesome because he gives you poison, he gives you regen.
It is a very 5+3.
And he does that without having to cast a single spell.
Yeah.
Then he can cast spells because he's a wizard as well.
He's also a level 2 wizard on the Lore of Nurgle, because that's the only lore he can take. For my core choices, I have a Chaos Chariot with the Mark Slanesh. It's pretty standard. 5 Chaos Warhounds. 5 Marauder Horsemen with Javelins, Light Armour, and the Mark Slanesh.
You really wanted axes.
I wanted axes, but I didn't have the points for axes, unfortunately. And then the main brick is going to be 25 Warriors of Chaos that have the Mark of Nurgle, 25 halberds, shields, and the Banner of Swiftness with the full command.
I've got to be honest, Warriors of Chaos, they get a bad rep from people.
I don't know why.
And I think they are probably a couple of points too expensive. But they're still hard as nails, aren't they, when they get into a fight?
They just don't have a bad start.
I've had games where I've lost all my red choices and my Lord choices. And that Warriors Chaos unit pulls it through for me every single game.
They are solid. Very solid.
Moving to special, it's a new choice for me because I've never had one before. I have a Chimera with Flaming Breath and Regenerating Flesh. I've never used this in a competitive.
No, and they are
before.
super competitive.
They're top tier.
Yeah.
This usually gets swapped out for a Gorby's Chariot and a second regular Chariot, which
I
I like using.
I think is better. I think the Chimera is better.
Yeah,
It's
Gorby's
got a breath weapon.
Yeah.
You love to see it.
And then
You're
my
not
red.
a fan of Chariots, are you?
I think Chaos Chariots are good. They're clearly underpointed. I don't like the Gore Beasts very much, so I think it's just way too tough.
I do like the Gorby's. It's tough. It's a nice bit to sit next to your Warriors Chaos unit. And it's incredibly tough. Unless you're a Spirit Host and you just sit there all game. And then moving into my rare section, I have my classic Hell Cannon, who's affectionately named for many years at this point in time as Rainbow Dash.
Your names are not as good as my name.
They're not as good. The story was I asked someone who's a fan of My Little Pony or something. Like, what's the weirdest name at My Little Pony? Oh, it's Rainbow Dash. That's Rainbow Dash Hell Cannon now. I'm not a brony. I'm not a My Little Pony fan. I'm not a brony. It's just a weird name for a devastating.
Just a disclaimer on the side of the video there. Maxie's not a brony.
The tagline this month in Warhammer: I'm not a brony.
So it's a weird.
That really got me.
It's a weird name for quite a devastating artillery piece.
They're really good though. Yeah,
They're really
really
scary.
good.
So there's Chaos Hell Cannon.
Other children's television franchises are available.
Sure.
And then my last choice of the army is 4 Skull Crushers with ensorcel weapons, a musician, and a standard bearer. And the standard bearer has a war banner.
Yeah, good stuff.
So yes, my standard Warriors of Chaos army list. The only thing that's not standard about is I A, forgot to, and B, didn't have the points to add a Chaos Familiar to my Demon Prince.
It's a big change though. That extra spell on Laura Slanesh is awesome.
It is. I've always said this. Laura Slanesh, in my opinion, is the best Chaos Lore.
It's very good.
I'd agree.
People argue with Laura Noble saying it's a good buffing lore, but in terms of just all out just output and just utility, Laura Slanesh is fantastic.
I think Nurgle is a good lore, but I don't think either Nurgle Demons or Nurgle Warriors particularly need it.
No.
Yeah, it doesn't offer them a lot more than they've already got.
Whereas
the Laura Slanesh really does offer Slanesh
it
a
offers
lot of what it doesn't have.
Cacophonic Choir, which is arguably one of the best spells in the game. It's a short range, but it's devastating.
It can hit all units.
Hit all units. It's a hex spell. So it's a damaging hex spell, which is lovely. With Acquiescence, which is Cacophonic Choir without the damage. But it's long
I also
range.
think when you're a Demon Prince, Acquiescence is incredible.
Yeah.
Because when you play that guy and he's like, oh, I've got like a cannon, and you're like, oh, I'll acquiesce it, it has to move.
That's the move, can't shoot.
Can't fire now.
There goes your cannon.
Really good.
We've got that. We've got a personal favourite one with Hysterical Frenzy, which is a frenzy but it causes D6 rank 3 hits on you. Doesn't matter. And if you already frenzy, you get extra frenzy, so you get an additional attack on top of your regular frenzy.
Yeah.
These strength 3 hits doesn't matter if you stick on a Skull Crusher, he's got a 1-up armor save.
No.
Yeah.
So my Skull
Doesn't
Crusher...
even matter on a Warriors, mate. It's 5 to wound them. They've got a 3-up armor save and a 5-up regen.
Yeah. So the Skull Crusher...
I'd be putting that on there.
Don't put on Warriors Chaos because I don't like the frenzy on them.
Yeah.
The fact they have to overrun, I don't like that. The Skull Crushers, they're already frenzied, so they're going to be moving. So I prefer it on them and the D6 hits. You're pumping out 4 attacks from per Skull Crusher.
Yeah, it's a lot. You can also cast that on enemies though, can't you? It's an
enemies,
augment or a hex, which does the same thing. And I used that because I've also got Laura Slanesh.
Yep.
Spoilers. I used that on your chaff
On my
as
chaff,
killers.
and just killed the chaff.
But I don't care if they get an extra attack. They're like a warhound.
Yeah,
What is that? So Demon Prince is top tier. I think he's Demon Prince A. Obviously, he usually takes Chaos Familiar, so that's Demon Prince A in my regard. The Charm Shield, Dragon Bane, and Sword of Striking. You have 25 points to spend on magic items. That's 25
Probably
points.
the best 25 points you're going to spend.
That's
on
how
it.
you. That's Charm Shield, ping off those cannonballs. Sword Strike, hit on 2s because you have to score 9.
Yeah.
And Dragonbane Gem just for all those. Because you got 1 up arm save for all those. What's it?
Searing
Searing
Dooms,
Dooms.
yeah, Hex
All
Wraiths, Skull
Flaming
Cannons,
Cannonballs.
Yep.
Screaming Skull Catapults, I mean the list goes on.
Yeah.
Dwarf
There's a lot
Cannons
of things.
often are flaming.
Yeah.
Very good.
And then we obviously have our heroes with the Exalted Hero, who I said 2 up with rollable arm save, Mark Noble. He's pretty tough to get rid of.
I assume
Yeah.
him and Festus go in the block.
Him and Festus will go into the block of warriors.
There's
Because
literally no other place for
there's no play, there's no other units they can go into.
Only 2 scoring units though, Max?
Only 2 scoring, but they are tough as nails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are absolutely. As I said, I don't usually see the warriors get killed off
No.
often. I only
No.
ever see them get removed when they fail a terror test and run off the board. Skull Crusher a bit more concerned because I do see them getting removed a bit more than the warriors, but they're hardy as it is anyway.
The thing with the Warriors, I suppose, is that like, you know, they're going to kill other people's scoring units if they get onto that
Yeah.
place, and because the scoring units thing is about holding ground a lot of the time, I think you'll be all right. Yeah.
But the combination, like say I'm going against, like say we said high elves or dark elves, yeah. White Lions, I typically favour the Warriors Chaos against White Lions. I really
I do
do.
when you can Hysterical Frenzy.
Yeah.
When you Circle Frenzy, then when you're -1/2, they don't have rerolls. You're -1/2. You hit them on 5. Sorry.
5s,
Hit
yeah.
them on 5s, no rerolls. You wouldn't be on 2s, yes, but I have a 5 regen, and then we're going at the same time. I'm killing you back just as equally as you're killing me, and you don't have.
Yeah.
You probably don't have a save against my attack.
The
I
the
favour
only
them.
difference is Alariel, isn't it?
Is he Alariel?
Alariel,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then obviously Alariel will be a target for Festus, who can make her maybe drink some questionable liquids.
Yeah,
Which is always
it's
good stuff.
Good killer, yeah.
And against Dark Elves, like the executions terrify me. That's what Skull Crushers are
Skull
for.
Crushers.
Skull Crushers goes to the
Yeah.
executions, and then again Warriors, the Witch Elves they'll get a reroll to hit, but if they're
Struggle to get
acquiescence,
through the armour.
if you're acquiescence or cacophonic acquired, you're always strikes last. You've got no rerolls to hit.
Yeah, and you're
You
putting
hit me
them
on
around
fives
the
again.
table because of those random moves potentially
Yeah.
as well.
So against
strong.
against elves, I've always typically favoured those engagements. It's
Yeah,
more
not
so
bad.
against armies. More so against vampire counts I don't like because of Terrorgeists.
Yeah.
Terrorgeists do terrify me a little bit, and it's just other armies as well. It's just, but the elves factions, I actually enjoy those matchups.
So it's good for you then that sort of
Lots of elves.
15 of the factions are elves.
No, it's a good all-round Warriors
Yeah,
Chaos.
just,
let's be
it's
honest.
just, as I said, it's the list I always take.
Yeah.
Really.
And what's the comp score on that?
that is +1.
Yeah, because the comp's quite different for Warriors,
Yeah.
isn't it?
It's-
They were one that got changed.
Not so much difference. The more that they made Warriors of Chaos units above 20 models at +1.
Yeah, so that's why it's a plus.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so
you've
you-
gone for no scroll as well, which was another point of
Yeah,
comp they
I never-
increased, wasn't it?
I never really,
Yeah.
I never take a scroll because I only ever have 2 characters that can take it, and Festus can't take items, and Demon Prince is maxed out items allowance.
Yeah.
So I don't take scroll, so that's a +2 from that, I think it
From
is.
Cardiff it is, yeah.
From two,
and your Highlander.
I am Highlander as well, so that's
Yeah.
+3. There's a lot of
That Highlander's a recurring theme, isn't it, as well?
It is.
It is
for
for
me.
it is for me and Scott, not so much, but there's a lot of pluses. I think I enjoy play. I know how to play this. I've played this for 5 years now.
Yeah,
at
strong
this
list.
point, and I want to do them. So that's what I'm taking to Cardiff. Give me my token. Give me my coin.
Yeah, I mean, you've got 6 Warriors of Chaos players to be fighting for
I
that
have,
point.
and
Yeah.
I will fight them on top of that hill. I will fight them down.
I think you've got 5 and I've got
I'll
6 as
see
well.
you
Yeah.
on the battlefield.
So again, we've all picked very well capped armies as well.
Yes.
Lots of players
Yeah,
taking
six
their armies.
6 warriors, 6 vampires, 5 demons.
Shall I go? Or
Yeah.
can we go across? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got my vampire counts. Probably unsurprisingly, it's
Yeah.
well known on this channel that as much as I started with high elves, vampire counts generally my favourite tournament faction.
They are. Yeah.
Certainly, if I don't feel I've got a lot of practice game time, that's the big one. Had I had lots of practice game time, I may have.
Maybe try to push
Maybe
the
would have
orcs.
tried Orcs or maybe Tomb Kings. I've took them to
Maybe
Tomb
Tomb
Kings
King,
in
yeah.
the past, and other things like High Elves even potentially. But you know, stick to what you feel happiest with. I don't think that in any way means I'm going to do very well, but because I've done shockingly bad in the few
In your,
games
a
I've
few of
managed
your
to
practice
have.
games haven't gone your
Yeah.
way. No.
But we'll see. But I've got a Master Necromancer on the Lore of Vampires, a level 4 wizard with Dispo Scroll and the Dragonbane Gem, and that's because I just don't want to cast spells with my vampire.
That's a very fair point.
Yeah, and I generally do that a lot. The positive with, I suppose, the difference with Cardiff is that I've got a little more. I've gone over the 625 because you can have 50% Lords and Heroes.
Yeah.
I'm not over it by a ton. I think I'm like 635 or something like
Yeah.
that. But I'm over it. You know,
Right,
so I
it's
can
not-
optimise both
You've
the
not
characters.
gone over it a lot.
No,
No.
it just allows me to really dust the characters of everything I might want them to have. So I've got a Vampire Lord, that's my general. She has heavy armour, she's on the lore of vampires, she has Quick Blood and Red Fury, so she's 2 comp points. She has a shield, she's the General of the Undeath, she's a level 1 wizard, don't know if I've already said that. She has the Dragonbane Helm.
Dragon Helm. Not
She has the Ogre Blade and the Talisman of Preservation. So she has 3 up armour save, she's 2 up against Flaming, 4 up against everything else. She's strength 7, she has Quick Blood and Red Fury. I mean, it's pretty formulaic stuff.
You don't
Blender Lord, are you really?
You don't usually take Quick Blood, but it's nice to see it make a return.
No, I don't normally take Quick Blood, but I figured I'm not on a huge minus, so I'll take the extra point for the guaranteed rerolls basically in this event. I've got 1 hero, I've got a Calm Wraith hero. I super rate them.
Yeah,
they're 60 points. I don't mind trading them as chaff in the late game at 60 points. I like the fact they allow me to have a block of something that instantly isn't maybe that great normally, but now is good because it causes terror.
Yeah.
I like the fact they can do automatic wounds with no armor saves. I like the fact they contribute 3 strength 5 attacks to my regiment.
I like the fact that they can challenge out those characters that haven't taken a magic weapon to counteract the Band of the World Dragon, but because of that, they're now susceptible to an ethereal unit.
Yeah,
which is lovely.
Good for like challenging out wizards and things as well.
Yeah, and they're really good, and they're movement 6, so you can quite happily fly them around on their own if you need to. So very flexible choice. Now I'm going to sort of go with roughly where things will probably be in general. When I explain my list. So I've got 16 Crypt Ghouls and a champion. It's not a very big unit. I'm just going to put my Necromancer in there, and I'm just going to park them behind my army.
That'd be a bunker.
Just be a bunker for my wizard, and the main reason is those poisoned attacks and a couple of attacks each will probably deter people trying to chuck cheap things like an eagle or something like that at my wizard. And that probably quite prudent when you see the amount of elves that are showing up. Dark Riders and things, if they were zombies, would quite happily munch them up, but probably not so easily with ghouls.
No, ghouls are a terrifying prospect for chaff to go into.
I think so. So it's not a big unit, but it's a functional one. I've got 2 units of 5 direwolves, which will act as chaff for me. I have 40 skeleton warriors with full command and the banner of swiftness, and I'll probably put my vampire lord in there. And that just gives me a big long bus to break steadfast and a lord that gets lots of combat resolution.
The lord just chops things down by a dozen.
They're a +1 as well, which is why I've gone for 40. Normally I'd probably just stick at 35, but with the plus, I'll take the extra
25 points.
And then I've got 40 zombies with a standard and a musician. Probably start the Khan Wraith in there in most games, but he might jump to the skellies. He's quite a flexible choice for me. I like him a lot.
I think terror causing zombies is always quite nice.
Yeah. The zombies are just, again, they're just a block to put into saying can try and park there. And I've got 40 because they're a plus. Otherwise I might have gone with smaller units and raised the size up mid-game. Special choices, I've got 2 units of 2 bat swarms. So that's my 70-point bat units we discussed earlier. Again, I'm just going to use them as chaff. They convert always strikes last in base contact with enemies as well. So
quite nice.
It might be something I pop in the side with the vampire at some point. Or
use them as great demon killers.
yeah, I did do that. 1 wound left on the great demon. Charge with a bat swarm. 5 attacks, 1 hit, 1/6 to wound. Yeah, fails ward save. Get you off. Thanks to that, always strikes last.
Oh, it was hilarious. It wasn't so much funny for Scott, but it was very funny to watch.
Ladies and gentlemen, you love to see it. I'm so disappointed we hadn't videoed it. But
I did kill the bat swarm in return.
Yeah,
you did. But
oh no!
What was it, 530 points, 550 points for a great demon?
530 points. Yeah.
Big great demon compared to a 35-point bat swarm.
Yeah, all right, thanks.
So I've got those. They're just chaff, and they're plus choices again. So I've sort of been comp in mind a little bit with my list. I've got 7 Crypt Horrors.
Yeah.
To avoid the comp.
But Crypt Horrors are really good. They don't score in this event, so that is a drawback. And I do only have 2 scoring units, a bit like Max. I've got the zombies and the skeletons. But the Crypt Horrors are really good for holding ground. They're very good at killing enemy monsters. They're just a flexible, good unit.
I see them more as holding. If you're playing the mission where you get most scoring units into the centre, they're good at just chucking them up your opponent and hold their scoring units in place.
Away from the centre.
The centre. Yeah, they are tough to get rid of.
And they get lots of wounds back.
They do.
So. And then I've got 5 Hex Wraiths. That's the end of my special. I love a Hex Wraith. I think they're really flexible. Had I known there was only going to be 3 Wood Elf players, I might have took 20 Hex Wraiths. But again, taking 5 is a good compromise because you will always have those armies that are really good at killing them, and so you're not giving away too many VPs at that point. But But yeah, they're good. Again, they cause terror. They're flaming, which helps me strip regen, which I struggle with otherwise.
Ignore armor saves.
They do ignore armor saves, and they obviously, as I'm sure you know, they do their damage by moving through enemy units in the movement phase. So they don't have to charge as well. So lots of flexibility. Really good hex waves. They'll work nicely. If you imagine, I have my blocks, my horrors, my zombies, my skeletons. Probably have my ghouls behind, and then these will be charting off the flanks or shooting across the back line. Once they're through the enemy, they become a lot more flexible in what you can do with them.
More of a pain to get rid of.
Yeah, and then on to rare, I've got 2 Terrorgeists. Because
Terry with an I and Terry with a Y.
That's correct. Terry and Terry. Because they're competitive. So why would I not have them?
Yeah.
They kill demon princes.
They do.
Which are going to be in abundance, and they're good against every faction, really. And even people say, oh, well, what about Banner of the World Dragon? Well, they're good against the Frostheart Phoenixes, they'll probably have, I think I'll be okay. So, yeah, they're a great choice. They're also a monster at the end of the day, which you can flank in within the late game.
Yeah.
And the final piece in my puzzle, because I'm 2,500 points exactly.
On the nose, yeah.
Is none other than Vernon the Vargle. Vernon the Vargle. Big Vern.
Big Vern is a tiny monster.
Yeah, he loves
he's
it.
Tiny.
50mm base, small coverage. They've got infinity high hills as well at Cardiff.
Yeah.
So
Which
that's
is
going
good
to help to guard him.
Good protection for all your monsters out there, for all your Terrorgeists and my Demon Prince and all that sort of stuff.
My Grey Demon.
Again,
Your
gives
Grey
me that synergy back with the Hex Wraiths, because I can keep him maybe hidden until my Hex Wraiths get in and get the job done on the artillery, and then Vern makes an appearance. He gets in. He's very good with bat swarms as well.
Yeah.
Because they drop the Always Strikes last, and then Vernon goes in with his hatred and his tons of attacks.
Vernon goes in.
And again, he's going to sit nicely on the flanks with my blocks. So it's a pretty standard Vampire Counts list, guys. I'm not...
It's the one that I play against you the most.
Yeah, I mean, the spine of my list probably doesn't really change a great deal.
No.
It's just what I call the flavours. So Vernon the Vargolf, he sometimes comes in, he sometimes leaves.
X-Ray sometimes.
X-Rays.
Bat Swarms in this list are a new addition.
Your core sort of changes about a bit. You generally have bigger ghouls, smaller zombies, slightly smaller skeletons.
Sometimes you even have a White King BSB in there as well.
I like that too, yeah. So there's flexibility, but the kind of spine, the Necromancer, the Vampire, a big block of skeletons for definite.
Yeah.
And then
some
dogs, some horrors, some gooses. They're all pretty Terrorgeists. Sorry, they're all pretty standardised for me, if I'm honest. And it's just because I like the way that list plays. But I have fleshed some things around with thoughts. I've gone with bigger scoring units. Not just for the pluses, but also for the chance to not lose my scoring units in these missions so easily.
So also, this is like, you also toyed around with the ideas of the double Vampire Lord and Master Necro in a list as well.
I probably would have done that had I had any chance
if
of
you had to get it done.
Yeah.
That list would have been pretty terrifying, because people struggle to deal with one Vampire Lord,
let
alone 2 Vampire Lords.
I thought as well, I thought I would have it a little bit earlier than it was, because obviously a lot of the skeletons are out of production, so I wanted the ones that matched mine, and they were delivered so late. By the time they finally sort of, I mean, they've only just arrived yesterday, which is just like, less than 7 days to go.
Yeah.
Just
not yesterday when you're watching it.
No, yesterday for me. Yeah. So just no chance. So mine's a -2.
Okay.
So
small minus. Yeah.
I think small minus is okay.
We generally find that at Triple Crown, don't we? Now, this could be very different at Cardiff Crusade.
I think the fact there's so many mission points available, I think if you get your head down on the mission points, that could help to offset. So,
but from what I've seen, there have been a lot of pluses as well in this tournament as well.
From what we've seen of sort of what people have said, I'm thinking of taking this, or a couple of people have put their lists, now that list has been submitted, they've put their lists up on groups on Facebook, and both of those were big pluses, sort of +5 and up.
But then you do look and think to yourself, that's the beauty of the system. I know the guys have changed it slightly, and perhaps, some stuff's maybe slightly more of a plus than it would normally be. But in general, those lists, they do have glaring problems that you can exploit.
They usually do have them.
They get +10, but if you take 18 or 20 points off of them, you're probably going to be able to swallow. I've only got to make up 400 points on my list over the whole weekend, so that's one mission. One good scored mission offsets all my comp. So. I think it's interesting, but let's finish with your list, Mr. McHugh.
So as you may have guessed, I'm going Demons of Chaos, and it's not a mono-god army, it's a little bit of a mix. So in my Lord slot, I've got Kerry the Keeper.
Kerry the Keeper?
I feel like he's just trying to get on the bandwagon.
I should call my Demon Prince. Dougal the Demon Prince.
Dougal the Demon Prince. If you don't shout Keza when she kills stuff, I'm so upset.
So, Kerry the Keeper.
I want that Keeper of Secrets to know it will never be Vernon the Vargolf.
It'd be Terry the Pterodon.
No, or Terry the Terrorgeist. The original, the OG.
Can I get on my list?
No,
Is that okay?
I want to think of more names.
So, Kerry is a level 4 wizard on the Law of Slaanesh, and she has a greater gift.
Yeah, solid.
In my hero slot, I've got Epidemius. I've got
Obviously.
I've got Harold the Herald of Nurgle. He's a battle standard bearer with a greater gift. And to round out the hero slot, I've got the Mask of Slaanesh.
She's not taken often. I think she's
Yeah,
pretty
I
good.
think she's very good.
I think she's
Yeah,
she's probably her points. I think that's the reason
Yeah.
you don't see her that often is she's probably not underpointed.
yeah. In core, I've got a unit of 19 Demonettes of Slaanesh with full command and the Banner of Eternal Flame. And I've got a unit of 31 Plague Bearers of Nurgle with full command and the standard of Discipline.
I wonder what Epi's going.
So yeah, that's
Behind the piece of
obviously
impossible terrain.
those Plague Bearers pretty much all the time is where Epidemius and the Herald are going to go. The Herald's always going to go in there. Maybe, depending on what I'm fighting, Epidemius might hide. But I think most of probably 90% of the time, he'll go in those Plague Bearers.
Yeah.
The Mask can't join units. She has a special rule, so she can't join units. So she'll be on her own. She does have a 3-up ward save though. So
She's excellent chaff clearance.
she's movement 10, like
Yeah.
the keeper. So she's really quick.
She's also not too expensive if you really needed to
She's
protect your
Not
big
really.
block.
140.
140
Yeah,
points, yeah.
to sacrifice if you really needed
Yeah.
to.
Into special then, I've got one unit of 5 Beasts of Nurgle. Big old block to deal with. And a unit of 6 Chaos Furies that are Demons of Slaanesh. That's just to take advantage of the Keeper's leadership, because she's
Yeah.
my general, obviously.
Leadership 2 is not great.
Near. And I've also got a unit of 3 Nurglings. And then, rounding it out, in rare, I have 4 Plague Drones of Nurgle with Musician and Standard Bearer, and the Plague Drones have Plague Proboscises,
Every time. I love it. Every time he says it.
which just gives them poison attacks.
Yes.
So I've got 2 scoring units, the Demonettes and the Plague Bearers. The Plague Drones don't score because they fly
Yeah.
and not skirmish. Which is a shame. It'd be nice to have that third, but I don't think it's too big of a deal, really.
When your Plague Bearers
No,
are
when,
tough
they're,
enough.
when the Plague Bearers are as tough as they are, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's 448 points of Plague Bearers that are very hard to get rid of. The Demonettes less so, but if you're
Just below the -1.
if you're hitting the Demonettes, okay, I'm not that bothered really most of the time. But that it comes out as a +1, mostly thanks to Highlander.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you're the same as me then at that point.
Yeah, so obviously Epidemius is a big -3.
Yeah.
I
Keepers-
just skip the minus on the size of the Plague Bearers, minus for the Beast of Nurgle, a plus for the Keeper, a plus for the Nurglings,
Plus for Demonettes, I think.
and a plus for the Demonettes, yeah.
Yeah.
And then obviously +3 for Highlander. I don't get no scroll because I'm a demon, I can't take one, so I
Yeah.
don't get that bonus. And yeah, I've got the level 4 wizard in the Keeper.
I mean, we all discussed how good Law of Slaanesh is
Yeah,
on
exactly.
level 4.
Yeah, the greater gift as well is really good on that Keeper.
Yeah.
Most depending on what I'm playing, she'll probably take the Lash, which
Lash
is her
is
sort of
nice.
0 option, which is the Slaanesh weapon, which is 2d6 user strength shots basically.
Range 12.
Yeah, range 12. So it's not massive range, but she does move 10.
Yeah, she's
Um,
quick.
And she's ballistic skill 6, I think.
Yeah,
7
6,
maybe.
yeah.
She's
Six,
really
yeah.
high. So at her strength of 6, that's really good chaff clearance. Less good on a Herald of Slaanesh, because it's only strength 4, I think. But really good on the Keeper.
Yeah.
And then the Herald of Nurgle also got a greater gift. Most of the time he'll probably take the Battle Sword.
But also a super good item.
Poison attacks, D3 wounds.
It's strong.
Yeah, really good.
Unless he rolls 2-up armor save or +1 wound, I imagine.
Well, the Keeper is another one for that 2-up armor save.
2 palms say
Yeah.
mainly going to be one on the Keeper at
Yeah.
this point.
For the BSB, +1 wound he'll definitely take.
Yeah.
If they've not got big monsters and he doesn't roll a particularly good gift, then he'll probably go +2 attack sword. Because they can also swap it for a 50-point magic weapon from the rulebook. So he'll probably go +2 attack sword, because he's already strength 5. He gets strength 6 from the tally, from Epidemius.
I tell you what, the Obsidian Blade wouldn't be a bad choice either.
No,
With
depending
that
on
high
what I'm
strength.
fighting. Yeah, if I'm fighting sort of knights and things. Yeah, definitely. If I'm fighting sort of, infantry empire or...
It's something that's
Elves.
really dirty about demons is that you can like pick your weapon at the start of the
Pick
game.
and mix
Yeah.
it, can't
That's really horrible.
Yeah, it's really good. But yeah, that's sort of generally the list.
Beast obviously the strong unit. and
Yeah.
They just can't get rid of them that easy
No.
enough.
Nurglings, I think, are my underdogs in
Yeah,
my practice games.
what I've seen the Nurgle has been top tier in
They-
every game.
As soon as you get that strength 4 on them, they kill a lot. They've got 12 attacks.
Yeah, they've also got a lot of wounds as well.
Yeah, 12 wounds.
5 wounds or 4
Yeah,
wounds?
4 wounds.
Four
Yeah.
wounds.
So they're really annoying because you really have to try to kill
You
them.
really
They
do
scouts
have to
also.
try.
You can put them. You can put them in the back lines if
Yeah.
your opponent's not clever enough.
And because they're a demon, they're 5-up ward save as well.
Yeah.
Re-rollable with Epi if you get to that point.
Just
Yeah.
unpleasant.
Honestly, it's the +1 strength, which is the first mark on the tally. It's that 7, and they're really good for building up that tally early game as well.
Yeah.
Because they charge war machines, they charge other people's chaff.
Chaff, yeah.
We saw you charge James's zombies and build up their tally.
Yeah, they're fantastic
immediately.
against that. Charge the flanker zombies. The zombies don't get enough attacks on you to really hurt them.
The
and you just build
zombies,
up
even
chaff.
if they were in a horde, wouldn't kill them.
Probably wouldn't. No.
They've got to hit them, and they?
Yeah.
6s.
I played a Tomb King list down at a gaming place near me in Colchester, and because of their skirmish, they sort of manoeuvred themselves through gaps and things and charged a big block of archers with Khalida, stopped them shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was like 50 archers, they didn't kill them, but they got the tally up slowly.
Stop them shooting.
Just stop them
crucial,
shooting.
isn't it? Yeah.
And your plague drones in
do.
themselves are
they're
a
fantastic.
mean unit to get rid of as well.
Yeah, they're fantastic. Playing a different Tomb King list, they took on a Khemrian War Sphinx. Now his breath did roll like an 11 and killed 2 of them, which I was very upset about. But they still killed him. They
It's
still
poison.
eventually killed him.
Poison
Yeah,
attacks.
those poisons, those 6s.
Poison's a because like I say you got poison. I've got poison. You've got poison actually as well. You got your cryptors as poison
Yeah.
and cryptoras.
I do.
There's a lot of poison all around in these,
It is,
these
yeah.
lists.
It's almost like poison's a really good rule.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that, put it this way, like, if they didn't, it's not like, for me, if Cryptoras didn't have poison, I wouldn't go, oh, well, without poison.
Oh, just
they're-
extra save.
but yeah, no, it's certainly a nice bonus,
Yeah.
isn't it? to have
It's a
the
Brucey,
poison.
it's not why you
Yeah.
take them.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I think I've got my eye in more now with the list.
Yeah, see me your first like competitive.
You're
event
playing
with-
well.
It is, yeah.
At the moment,
Yeah.
or you've certainly been playing well from what I've seen.
Mm.
I'm not.
I've not even played.
You always play well. You
I've
upset
not,
me.
I've not played a game of My Warriors Gauss since the battle report we did for the channel, which is
Yeah, it's
a
been a
while.
while.
ago.
Well, yeah, that
I
is
need to get a practice
sometimes,
game.
isn't it?
Concerned.
Well, we'll have to see about that. So,
Yes.
I mean, that's it, guys. We've given you our lists. I'm going to just check my cheat sheet. It's why I have it, of course. And coverage is worth pointing out. Now, obviously, we are going to try to keep you guys informed of how it's going for us, and hopefully you'll have seen some of that already.
all of this would have already happened,
Yeah,
pretty much.
So hopefully you'd have seen the coverage and gone, oh, that's really cool that they tried. We just don't know what that's going to look like.
No,
because we don't know how busy the hall's going to be. We don't know how spaced out it is because we've not actually driven the 160 miles to Cardiff before.
And the rest is 220 miles from my house.
Oh, really?
226, yeah.
Really? It's like 160 from mine.
Yeah, I do live quite a way away from
Yeah, you do. Bants.
I mean, we ourselves might just be busy playing games.
Yeah, we don't know what the
we don't
time's
know.
going to be, but
As a minimum, though, we will let you know how things are going Saturday night
or Sunday morning.
/ Sunday morning. Yeah, it'll either be late Saturday night or before we start Sunday morning.
You would have already seen that as well.
You would have already have seen that, yeah. So I don't know why I'm letting you know that. But check out our Facebook; it'll be on there. And then afterwards, I think, as we said, we'll try and fit in sort of a video.
We'll see if we can have a sit down like this and a quick chat.
Yeah,
and
about sort
do
of how
what
it
we
went.
can.
Otherwise, it will be on
Next month in Warhammer.
This month in Warhammer. Yeah.
So that's Cardiff Crusade covered, guys. Thank you for sticking with us, and we're looking forward to seeing tons of you there. I know there's lots of you guys that watch that are coming.
Or having seen you there.
You've told me. We're really excited to have seen you.
It was nice. It was nice to
Nice to meet you. It's great.
Nice to have seen you. To have seen you.
Nice.
Thank you.
Max, why couldn't you just let that die a death?
Other compares are.
He's already gone, hasn't he?
So we're going to take a quick look now at what you can expect in the coming 4-week period until you see us here again for another episode of This Month in Warhammer. Well, there's a lot, as ever, because we like to pack the schedule with as much as we can. So this month's War Council game, we'll see the Bretonnians ride to war. That is right. The Noble Knights will feature in their first competitive battle report and
They
their
will.
first battle
They will,
report
yeah.
overall on the channel. And the Duke is going to be riding them out against none other than the Ogre Kingdoms.
His own Ogre King.
His own
My
Ogre
own Ogre
Kingdoms.
Kingdoms,
He's
yes.
fighting himself. In which case he cannot win, but he also cannot lose.
One of us will wear a Scott mask. Put it that way.
I'm not doing that. So with the Light of Albion campaign weekend later this month, in sort of 3 weeks' time, as I've been corrected already.
Well, it'll be next month because this will still be September.
Oh, it will, yes, yeah. So with the Light of Albion event in 3 weeks' time, we are going to begin our adventure through the twisted bogs and fens of Albion. And this time you're going to follow Max the Chieftain, Hurley, as he leads the Wood Elves of Thalandor Doomstar through the new campaign.
Yeah, I'm calling this campaign Watch Max try to learn how to play Wood Elves. I've not played Wood Elves before. It's going to be a very interesting experience for me.
And he'll be taking on in game 1 another new army to the channel for this month, which is Grotbag the Luckies, Orcs and Goblins, and by Orcs I mean Goblins. Goblins and Goblins. So
Goblins and more Goblins.
That's correct. All the Goblins. So 2 new armies feature on Battle Reports. Really excited. Started a new campaign, which you can still get a ticket to and come and
play the whole campaign.
Say this might have sold out by now, but maybe you can still get a ticket and play the campaign in a few weeks' time. But you can watch us run through all 5 of the missions on the channel as well. So something wicked this way comes as well, as we bring you Buying for Beginners Dark Elves. So if you fancy getting your hands on the dreaded kin of Nagroth, the Druchii, then you need to be watching that. Sticking with elves, this month's Warzone article will feature the Dark Elves and also the High Elves, as we discuss the iconic Battle of Finval Plain on Tales from the Wizard's Tower. Sticking with Tales from the Wizard's Tower, to celebrate the Light of Albion campaign, our Heroes of Legend feature this month will be Be'lakor, the first Chaos Demon Prince.
Dark Master himself.
So yeah, very excited about all of those. So sticking now, but getting back rather than sticking, but getting back to our snippets. This month we will bring you part 2 of our Battle Magic series on 20-0 tactics with the often underappreciated Law of Fire. I'm excited to do that one actually. It's going to be. I think
it'll probably score a little bit less than Law of Life.
Yeah, probably. I would have thought.
I always like Law of Fire.
I think it's underappreciated, and I'm excited to see what we can do with it in that tactics video. So the competitive character series, another one of our snippets. Well, this month we're going to bring you the optimised builds for the Under Empire's finest. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to bring you the Skaven Warlord. So quite excited about that. Callum, if you're watching, you are very inspiring. Horrible warlord. Now, in our final snippet this month, we're going to be looking at maximising your character's attacks as we bring you magic weapons that confer additional attacks in our Magic and the Mundane feature. And that just leaves me with one video to announce. And finally, Runefang's at the ready, ladies and gentlemen, as we are going to venture back to Altdorf and we will bring you the Empire Deep Dive.
Very exciting.
It's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, so lots to bring you again. Thank you for sticking with us, as ever, for this video and for all of our other videos, because we have lots of fun doing them.
We do.
So we will see you all next month, on This Month in Warhammer. Make sure you head over to the website and check out all the content there. Make sure you go back to YouTube and check out all of the videos on there. There's loads to look at. As always, feel free to get in touch on any of our social media platforms or email us directly on thetriplecrownguys@gmail.com. And we'll see you all again real soon. Remember to tag your friends and like, subscribe and share. Then head over to triplecrownwargaming.com and become a Knight of the Realm today.
What are you doing, mate?
You alright?
Do it for Warhammer!